All right.
Well, that's always been one of the big hurdles for any shop owner. They get all fired up. We used to call it a seminar high, and they'd hit the deck running, not observing that their employees are in a whole different place, have no idea what you're talking about, have no idea what you've just been through, and you expect them to be just as excited and wow, let's do all this, and it falls flatter than flat. And getting that buy-in, well, that's a skill.
Yeah. It's difficult. Again, just like you said, whoever goes to a class, you have that information. It's very hard to relay that information to other people. Part of me getting my master's, I had to do the service writer school, and I put off a lot of other awards or achievements or whatever that they had at the time, competent shop owner or whatever the hell it was. But because I didn't need to do service writer, I wasn't in the service writer position. I always felt like if we get back into that position where we have to write service, we're doing things wrong. But we didn't have the mutual understanding, right? Because I didn't do it. And that's the whole thing. Why Drive is like, you really need to do this. So you have that understanding that the other person had of going, to the class. So it just, it makes sense now, but I just honestly didn't want to pay for it. But the structure has changed now. So it's in my benefit to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Years ago when we created the Control in the Front workshop, Kevin, it was created from observation and visiting shops on how much wasn't getting changed in the shop. Of all the principles and systems that we were teaching weren't getting done. And the bottom line on it was shop owners were not very good at getting their team's buy-in on the changes they wanted to make. So we created the Control in the Front workshop to train the staff on all these systems. And it was best done when the owner and the manager or the service writer or the lead tech came out together, and they both brainstorming and, oh my gosh, yeah, oh wow, yeah, this would be great if we did this. Yeah. But then you have everybody on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Kevin, I know you've since then done the Managing Change workshop.
Yep.
And so if you were to redo that whole process with what you know now, what would be some of the differences in how you handle it?
Well, I already have. And, in regards to the managing change type of thing, you have a better structure, right? You want to communicate to everybody what's the best thing. You don't start off with, here, you have to do it because I said so. You start off with like, I got this really great thing that, I hate change. Everybody hates change, but like, I like change, like for the better, like who doesn't, right? This is a good change. This is something that's fun. This is actually better.
Yeah.
So, what I do now is you're able to communicate a little bit better by, the whole process everybody's going to go through with change, right? So sort of like, a grief process, but you could bring it and sell it better, and everybody's understanding it a little bit more, and everybody gets the buy-in of why it's better, why that change is better, because nobody wants to change for the worse, right? So that's kind of what we do. We try and plan and do things that are take steps and for the better. And so in regards to the DVIs, the guys, when they understood that they can make more money because they're going to get better build hours, we're going to sell stuff easier to customers, like, because nobody trusts their mechanic. That's they do now because we have DVIs and it's transparent and they could see it. So by explaining it to them, the why we're changing a process out and why it's going to be better for the customer and why it's going to be better for them. And overall, it's a hard thing to get through, but once we get through it, it's as easy as, coming in and turning the lights on and making coffee. It's just a daily process and a daily routine.
Yeah. Once you know the technique.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
Yeah. And that's what that workshop's all about.
Yeah. I forgot to take a moment. Larry Monroe's birthday's today. So I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. I called him last year on his birthday and he kept ignoring me. because Kevin's a pain and he didn't want to talk to Kevin because he thought there was something wrong. But all it really was to wish him a happy birthday. So this time I got to do it on Drive Live. So happy birthday.
That's great. All right. So implementing a change like something massive like going digital, that's one thing. But there are a lot of other smaller changes that shops have to make on a regular basis just to keep up or to ensure your team is on top of things, et cetera, or to just slightly improve your service. How does what you learned in the Managing Change workshop play into those types of things?
You're asking me like how smaller changes implement, like writing policy, procedure, that kind of stuff, and
all that
getting
stuff. Yeah.
Meetings. We have a really, I've got to tell you, this is the best position that Stellar's Garage has been in 26 years we've been doing this. Eric and I and our crew, we literally have the dream team, and we are now kind of trying to be absentee owners. We have other things in life we'd like to do, and we need to pass the torches on, and all of that everything we do, we kind of got to write down, basically like building playbooks, right? You build that, all those changes are little tiny changes one at a time. It's like, how to eat the elephant, one bite at a time type deal. The daily changes, I mean, there's some things that we implement, on the, like if there's a parts supplier, if there's a parts brand that we just keep having problems with, then that's a positive change. We're not dealing with them anymore. So remembering stuff from the class is kind of hard, because there's a lot of it and I haven't done it in a while, but basically taking those steps that I said, if you're doing small changes, you get the guys buy-in. We also, what we do here, and I think a lot of shops do, is we survey our crew. Like if there's something that needs to be changed, we want to know it, right? We want to know, like if whatever, one guy wanted an additional rack for incoming parts. It's like, okay, that's simple. A lot of things that are simple to change, to take care of right now. Most times I'm a go-to type of person. Like if there's something that needs to be done, I like to do it right now. I don't like to put it off. I like to take care of it and drop what I'm doing, depending on, the urgency or what's, in front of me. But I try and do it like right away. And when the guys suggest something, even if it's a new tool or we need something else, again, that's a positive change, but you got to act upon it soon. So all this stuff, writing down and, and having policy or procedure, you want to change this, or even like a DVIs, we think about it and we're going to jump on it someday, and you don't, that's not the definition of a change. It's just like, that's not, if you got to implement it, and that's what we try and do. And listen, as I sit here and talk, please understand there's a lot of things that are in my head that I'd like to get done, that I want to change, but I just haven't taken the time to build the proper steps to do so. And that's what we continually work on, and it's an ongoing event, as every shop owner knows.
Absolutely. And in fact, you said a lot of things that pretty much were right out of the workshop, especially the things about diagnosing and getting information from your team, what needs to be changed, getting those things implemented, putting it in your playbook. All of those things are part of properly managing, properly implementing change, as well as not going off half-cocked and making sure that you have all the proper steps worked out before you implement an idea that you think is good. Because if you go at it backwards, the result won't be what you want.
Right.
Great.
You mentioned desire, Chris. And really, that's the very first entry point to change, is someone has got to be willing to and desire change. Because if they aren't up to the point where they realize something isn't right and they need to change, or they're afraid to change because the devil they know is better than the devil they don't know, or whatever fear they're confronting, nothing happens. And,
right.
And then procrastination sets in, and a year goes by and go, wow, things haven't gotten any better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Change is definitely necessary. We do it daily. That class was nice because it helped build a structure and just it allows you to be a better person so you don't like have a mutiny. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And when we were younger, if the owner of the shop wanted to do something, we just did it. I mean, it was just very authoritarian, and that doesn't work very well any longer.
Right.
The old my way or the highway is just
no.
working
This day and age,
culture anymore.
that just doesn't happen. Yeah, it's very difficult to get the people that you have, and to have to be blessed with the crew that we have now is awesome. And we typically don't want anybody to leave, but sometimes there's better things out there for them as individuals. So it's a happy like ending or separation. But it's still difficult. I'm getting worried because I'm still worried about David Bloom just showing up here like the last broadcast that I did. But
he's leaving plenty of comments. Don't worry about that.
I know. But I'd like to thank today's sponsor, who made this happen for me today. This is a billboard that was sponsored by Pioneer Truck in Bridgeport, Connecticut billboards. So thank you for that, David.
Yeah. He's always been a very generous guy.
Yes. And he keeps telling me I have a booger in my nose, so I'm sorry, but I don't. He texting me. I love the guy. Love him to death. Sometimes. So what else?
Just got to get in your boat and head across the sound and go see him.
I know. Well, his is already done. He has people take care of his stuff. I unfortunately I have to take care of my own boat. He just he's got all these businesses and stuff. He's so far beyond like anything I'll ever achieve. He just like snaps his finger. They got the guy got the boat right on his dock. He just, he gets everything done, taken care of for him, Anyways, what else would you like to discuss?
Well, I think we've covered that subject really well. What's in your future, Kevin? You talked about you wanted to get you and your partner as absentee owners. What do you plan to do with all that extra time you're going to have?
Go work at Pioneer Truck. No, you know what? There's other things I have that I at this moment I don't particularly want to broadcast, but I like to create. I want to create other businesses that can employ more people. People have asked, like I've been interviewed before, like what's the greatest accomplishment or what stands out the best for owning a business, like whatever. I can't really place the question, but the thing that I feel as though that we have succeeded the most at is relationships. It's relationships with our customers, relationship with our parts vendors, relationships with, anybody, the employees. I'm old now. I had employees that used to work for me that now they want to send their kids to work here at Stellar's because of the type of place that we are. But I honor all the people that I've spent time with, in my life, and as well as the beauty of being a shop owner is that I could take the time and spend talking to them and getting to know people better, both customers, parts drivers, anybody. And again, I like I have a love-hate relationship with Zoom in this whole, online type of process, but it's just a quicker way for me to share amongst other groups, other shop owners, and things alike. And I guess also I just been informed that Drive has like a one-on-one shop owners thing now, like a networking that I missed the first one. So it's round 2, which I'd like to check into more. But it definitely getting to know you guys, on a personal level. Apparently you don't know, I'm a people type of person, and I like to know more about you.
Didn't know that.
Than what you just do. Like, yeah, I work at Drive. Like, oh, that's great.
That's great.
Good for you. So, anyway.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. We're in the business of relationships, of developing those lines of communication and helping people. And if you're willing to do that, it comes back tenfold. And,
the thing, a lot of shop owners, I don't know how many first of all, I don't know how many people are going to really, see this, and how many new people to drive are going to see it. But, I really wish, and everybody says that they wish they started this earlier, right? But I kind of wish I started earlier because this was like the first source of auto shop owners that I could network with. And everything I've done, somebody else has already done it. You know what I mean? Like any kind of problem I have, like, oh my God, I can't believe this, speaking of networking, my wife Ellen is very much into martial arts, and we were at Cozumel, and we were for a karate thing. It's called Cos Talks, and it's sort of like our conventions, but on a smaller scale. So, they're talking back and forth, this group of people. And I said, Elle, you guys really should do like a monthly Zoom meeting or something, like just get together. And they're like, we network in our group, and they're doing it. Sort of like a top 20 group for, their group. And they're doing it since February, and they're hammering out because she's going through problems or whatever happens in her business. And she's able to lean on these people. And that's what, I have no problem calling. I call Adam up. I call Dave up. I call John Stark. Like anybody. I mean, there's so many people that I call and I reach out to, either to help them or for them to help me. And that's what's really great about driving this group of people. And I thank everybody that's, within earshot of it for helping me out all these years. But thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And that's the culture we wanted to build, and we built it. And you've built that culture in your shop, and it just plays forward.
Yeah,
it really does.
I hope so.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is a good note to end the show with. Kevin, thank you so much for being part of the show and sharing your experiences and insights. Next week, we'll have further talking about the in-person workshops that we'll be having in June. So tune in for that. Bob and I will go over which workshops we're having and so on. And I want to wish everybody a good weekend. And
yes,
Kevin,
absolutely.
Do well.
Good to see your face, Kevin.
In September at the expo, getting your Master Elite Award.
Yeah.
No pressure or anything, but I just made that all public for you.
Just borrow Dave's jet.
I know. He flew out. Listen, I love the guy, man. He flew out to basically watch Adam and I get our award in Florida, and kind of turned and burned. And listen, I'm going to try my best to do the tasks at hand to see if our shop Stellers could reach, that Master Elite bar or level, as far as being able to receive the award physically. That's going to be more of a challenge than the work I have in front of me to get our shop conditional. But everybody, thank you so much. I hope you guys had a great time. I tried not to go too far off subject here, which I tend to do, but I love you guys all, and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.
Kevin, and have a good weekend, everybody.
Yep. Oh, I guess we're done.
Well,
that was abrupt.
The lead guy's going. We can still go on. I don't know how long it's going to time out. So you guys want any cooking instructions? I went to New Haven Pizza School, and that was a great experience. Went to zoo parties, learned how to make New Haven style pizza. So
yeah,
we can discuss that.
You guys have got the ingredients.
We could do Kevin's Kitchen. We could just talk about recipes.
Kevin's Kitchen.
We should do that.
Well, I've got another meeting I got to jump to.
Okay.
Good seeing you, Kevin.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.